And so it is, little ones, we talk to you, yes? Remember the tree, all right? So the tree, the leaves don't bump into one another. They grow on a branch, and they're evenly spaced. They have their pattern. Each kind of tree has a different kind of pattern. Each kind of energy that is on the planet is part of a pattern. But when the patterns have become disrupted, then there becomes the awareness of the inability of the human to be in their natural state, which is total pure awareness. Total pure awareness does not sit in the head. Total pure awareness is the perception of the entire auric field moved by the center of the heart. All right. So the center of the heart is where the toroidal field interconnects with the field in which you find yourself on that planet, but it also connects with all the energies that are streaming is the new word, yes, through the cosmos. And so if you use your imagination like a small child, like hop on magic carpet, or in your imagination, give yourself permission to launch, so to speak, which means give yourself permission to uplift from what it is that is holding you so tightly to the planet, which is concerns, all right? Worries and concerns. Now, when we talk with the little ones now, we recognize that there has been activation of light in the last 3 days, all right? Activation of light, the I am presence of the body, mind, spirit of the human, as well as all the animals, has been injected with new life force, what we're going to call for you life force. But it is also photonic light, and it's the components of photonic light. Just like a tree has roots, it has a stem, it has leaves, all right? But along with that, it has the components. It has the sap that is running, has every single cell that's in the structure. Cells are different in the roots than they are in the stem, and than they are in the leaves, but they are all one, all right? So that is a part of how it is the human needs to focus, all right? Focus in nature and recognize that the trees aren't fighting with one another, and that, yes, there can be competition in your garden because some weeds are stronger than other weeds, and some plants are more suitable for a particular type of soil than other plants. So this is not really a competition. This is a way in which the natural essence of, say, the weed or the plant is expressing itself. And so that's also happening on the planet. Some are going to shine more than others, all right? Now, shine doesn't necessarily mean good, all right? So, if something is shiny and you don't want to be seen and you're very shiny, well, then you're going to have to put up with what happens from the shining. But this particular shining that we're talking about is of the soul, and it is a way in which one can sit and, let's say, look at a cloud, because everyone can have clouds right now. So you can look at a cloud, and what you have is you have the size, perhaps the distance, you have the color, you have the density, you have all the aspects of what you are perceiving as a cloud. But if you got up there, took your ladder and went up there, how would it be? Would it be what it is you thought you were perceiving? Of course not. And so that's exactly how your world is. So don't get too fixed on what it is you think you're perceiving. Give it permission to not exhaust you by trying to settle into a particular description or a particular awareness, but give yourselves also a period of time where it is that you wonder. Remember we talked years ago about wondering and wandering? This is like, not so much like a little child. Little children, they hop, skip, jump. They don't wander, all right? But this time now, it's wandering. Slow it down, slow it down, slow down your breathing, slow down your movements, slow down your thoughts, slow down every aspect of yourself that you are conscious of. And as you do that, you will become even more conscious of the parts of yourself that are precipitating into this world what it is you think you're perceiving, all right? So that isn't even real. What you're precipitating, what you've been thinking, how it is things look to you, none of it's real. It's all phenomenal, all right? So it's a phenomena, which is just basically saying that take something out of the air, out of nothing, and put it into a physical form, and it is phenomenal. Yes, phenomenal to have nature. But in essence, just like you did not have a body at one point, and then you became part of a density or reality, here you are. Are you the same as you were last week? No, you're not. Or the same when you were a child. Or will you be the same tomorrow? No. Everything is transitional. And so the human doesn't like very well that everything is temporary, or everything is passing, going, because there's an attachment in the human world that there is something that one needs to be able to be sure of something so that you can enhance it, so that you can work with it, so that you can make it yours, so that you can feel better about what is happening, so that you can experience your expansion through whatever it is you're focusing on. It could be a house, could be a car, could be a person, could be anything. It could be a diamond. And you enhance your perception of yourself. So this is the time now when you recognize, yes, it is me. I don't need it to enhance my perception of myself. Some people like jewelry or something shiny or, new ways, something bigger, better, or even to share. All right. So that's the part that we want to expand on, is how one gets to the point where they are not just looking toward the outer world as though it is something like your breath that you can draw into you, but how could you possibly share breath with someone? That's an interesting question. Well, it's not just interesting, it's what happens. Everyone shares the layer of breathing pranic air on the planet at the same time all the time. Do you know that? Are you going to say, I want more? No, you can't have that. Of course not. It's something that is just part of your reality. And there are a lot of other things now that are just part of your reality that you haven't been exposed to, so that you can explain it in your world. So we like that EX on there, like exit, expose, experience, all those things. And the X factor in your world is far more interesting than everything you have perceived so far. All right, so that's the spiritual world, or the world out of form. You want to know that the world out of form is your future. It doesn't matter what's in the area around you. It's what you have focused on and magnetized into your world. And so once again, if something doesn't feel good or you don't have enough of something, you recognize that, yes, well, it's yesterday's thought pattern, and you work with the immediacy of changing your, not just perception, but changing your focus, all right? So focus from past and relationship to past wants, needs, and desires, to in the moment, and the desire for a knowing that you are one with all that exists, all right? And therefore you can pluck, like if you walked up to a tree and it had plenty of fruit on it, you could reach up and you could pluck the piece you wanted, all right? So this is the reality. Here you sit. There's reality out of form that you can't see, but it's definitely available to each and every one. And at this point in time, where people are experiencing, especially in the New Zealand world, experience the almost loss of everything, almost loss of not just life, perhaps of someone that you love, and not just a movement through time and space, that you lost time, or you lost the idea, or you lost yourself. All right, nothing is lost. Nothing is lost in divine mind. You are just transitioning. You are moving through, like the breeze moving through the branches of the tree. Can you see the breeze? No. But is the breeze making the tree move? Yes. Is spirit moving through you? Yes. Can you see it? No. Will you ever see it? That's where it is that the phenomenal world has to take a back seat, and for one to sit with meditative intention. All right? So meditations change from time to time. They are deeper, they are more shallow, they are wide and wild and wonderful, and they are all kinds of descriptive words. Most people say critiquing what it is, the meditation. Well, you basically, just like anyone else, have a pluck of all the fruit, all the out-of-form energies that are in the universe, right? And what you've chosen to pluck was long ago settled in the unconscious mind. And that's what you believe you deserve, and what is available comes into view for you within the parameters of what it is you have believed in. All right? So you have to, belief is wonderful. It's a very intimate part of yourself, and it's very private a lot of time, and it even keeps itself hidden from you. You don't really know what all your beliefs are until they raise their little heads and they signal to you. It's like, oh, that wasn't what I really was bargaining for. But then you recognize, oh, yes, if the laws of the universe are as I have been understanding, and how the instruction comes, then in fact I have had a portion of myself focusing in that direction. And therefore I have gathered together enough molecules in that particular vision in order to bring it into the physical world. Oh, this is amazing, because one little seed that grew the tree, all right, so it was an image within the seed. The seed is the perfect image. So you are made in the image of God, whatever word you like to use, or the Creator. And you have full potential of what it is you brought with you, right? Which means that you're a child of God, you're a being of light, you're a child in the process of experiencing the light. All these things are happening. And how can you possibly be in the moment, be awake and aware to all of that, and feel as though you don't have to worry about your future? Well, if you back up just a little bit and you understand, it's like, yes, I am worrying about a future that doesn't exist. There is a perfect pattern, like if you plant a bulb for the garden for flower, perfect pattern. Of course, it may change. Too much rain makes a flower a little funny, too much wind, too much cold, changes it around, and those are the environmental factors. So for a flower, it has environmental factors of the elements, right? For the flower of the human personality, along with the physicality, there's a lot of other flowering to be done, a lot of other impressions that are going on. And all of these things are part of the structure, right? So if you have a particular quality in your personality, you may recognize it in someone else, or you may recognize it in the family of origin. If you look at your image on a photograph, you may notice that you resemble someone else. These things you have brought with you. They aren't happenstance, and they don't belong to the other person. They really belong to you, because you're the only experience that you're having, right? So you may remember your mother looked like A, B, or C. You may remember that the personality of your sibling was such and such, but it's yours. It's yours. You can't say, oh, my sister gave it to me, or my mother loaned it to me, or it's heritage, etc. Not at the stage of development at which you are at now. All right. So if you're looking into heredity, you're looking into genealogy, you're looking at just the physical form of how does all this work. Yes, that fits, but it doesn't hold for a really long period of time. So looking at the cosmic self is where you are at this moment, all right? You may decide, I don't want to look at the cosmic self, or I can't bring an image of the cosmic self in, or I can't let it register with me the entirety of my cosmic self, which means all the physicality and all the astral energies and all the pranic energies and all the vibrations that connect you to the cosmos, to the central sun. You can't perceive it, but you can be it, because you are it. Right? So when you get to worrying about the limited perspective that you have about what is going on, how it isn't so much as you've been taught to have faith in God. That's something external still from when you were a small one, taught in a certain way. No, faith in God, no. Faith in the self, all right, that still puts you separate. I have faith in the self. It's like there's two people there. I have faith in myself. All right, so it takes a little while to put all that together. This goes with the right and left brain symbiotic relationship that we had the question about, all right? So the melding and crossing the blood-brain barrier for the right and left brain, the masculine, the feminine, the right and left hemispheres, the literal and the creative sides, all right, those are still talking about sides. But if you look at the image of a human, all of that is in one cabinet, this is not a cabinet, body, one cabeza, one skull, all right? All of that is in one skull. So it's being housed. And if you could take apart the skull and you were to look at all the compartments without the brain in there, you recognize that there is a vibratory relationship. It's like a cathedral inside, so that the energies and the electric sparks, the light that move about in the brain, are being sent in a direction, according to what someone is thinking, all right, being sent out, and they vibrate and reverberate off the inner part of the cranium. So let's say someone had injury to their head. We're talking a lot, yes? If someone had injury to their head and a bump on, let's say, the right side of their head, and they have residual pain in that spot, and maybe even a lump in that spot, and you want to think in terms of that spot as being part of the whole. And remember that if something happens on one side of the globe, it definitely affects whatever's going on the other side of your planet. All right, let's do the planet piece there. And so within the skull, just because one's having a pain on that side of the head doesn't mean there's something going on in there. It may be that there's a reflection and a refraction going on. And now, because you're more cosmic beings, whatever's being launched, that's not quite the right word, but it's happening too, lasered, all right, in the cosmos, your cranium is capable of picking it up. Just like if a fly sits on your hand, you can feel it. If a laser is happening in the cosmos, your cranium is picking up the resonance and the frequency of that, and perhaps even your brain is going to register it. But it's really about the frequency. It's not so much about what you're thinking or how it is formulating. So these things are happening all at once, and that is you. That is how you are in this universe. All right, so crystal skulls are interesting. Why? Crystal skulls get picked up because they are the cavern, the radiance, the cathedral of the creation on the planet of Earth. Right? Other planets also have humanoid. There are some that are plain old human, but they're not in this particular galaxy. And so you can give yourself permission to be extraordinary. There is no one like you on the whole planet of Earth. There is no one cathedral. Now think about all the cathedrals on the planet that is placed in a particular spot on the planet where it has a reverberation coming up out of the planet. There's no one person that is going to be cloned into another exact image. Clone is a clone. It's not exact. It's a representation. All right. So we're talking just a little bit more. Is that you are a clone of your original self? Yes, because you are in a representation of who you think you are, in a representation of all the impressions that have come in. And if you can perceive, if you can allow yourself to become aware of what doesn't feel right, what do you do that doesn't feel like you want to do it anymore? Recognize that and say, yes, I have been cloned from my original self, and that original self is still alive and well. So you don't have to use the clone, you can drop it. And it's easier for us to say that like that because that doesn't have a connection, what is this word, an attachment, like you're not dear. If you had a clone, it wouldn't be dear to you. You'd say, oh, there's my clone, let's put it in the closet and go to where we want to go. So you can separate from that. And we want you to separate from your personality, separate from your impressions that you've had for a long time, separate from your belief system, separate from those aspects of yourself and walk freely and clearly, which means that you'll be in that steady emptiness. You'll be in that silence. You'll be walking into the internal reverberation of yourself that is in accord with all of life. And that's what you want to know yourself, all right? It's not about knowing that you have a colored hair or that you have feet or such size or that you like to eat particular food. No, it's about these reverberations and your connection into the universe that you want to know and know yourself. All right. It's good to talk to you, little ones. You see, this is getting to be very much more broad. And that's not a good word because it's got a circumference to it, and broad doesn't suggest that. But when you know yourself and you get the excitement and the sense of the vibratory rate of the totality of your being, and that is very, very much like the ultimate bliss experience on the planet, and orgasmic, you won't be able to feel as though you are connected to anything in particular because you'll be so enthralled with the vibration of yourself that will be your comfort. That will be your reassurance. That is what you are, not who you are, because who has a person connected to it. But what you are is a reverberation through the galaxy of infinite and amazing amounts of energy that bring into the vibration of the planet of Earth exactly what is needed where you stand, who you are. It's the best. It's why you came, and it's the expression of the divine through you, no matter how it feels to you, whether it feels menial, it feels too big, feels like you're dispossessed, you don't like it, whatever is going on. Nevertheless, there it is, right in that moment. It's you to experience and to allow that vibration of the divine to be enhanced through you, and then you get to appreciate yourself even more. All right, so